Well, I don't know if you're like me, but you want to make a mold of something, but you know you're only going to use it once, and you think, oh, actually, that's such a waste of silicone. Well, I'm going to show you a way today on how you can reuse your silicone. So you can mold something, then use that silicone again, get it liquid, and remold and use it somewhere else. I've got two things that I want to mold. This little bear I found, and I love him. Now, if you're going to mold something and it's something that you haven't made, you have to make sure there's no copyright on it if you're going to sell it. But you can mold it and make it for yourself. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do this bear and this little bit of foam. If you haven't seen the video where I did foam in resin, then check it out, because oh my goodness me, there's some really happy and great outcomes, but there's some serious disasters in it. I'll link it at the end of this video. But I want this to be a shiny finish. Now, if I mold this as it is, this is quite a satin finish. It isn't going to be shiny when I demold it. I'm going to quickly spray this with some gloss spray, let it dry overnight, and then I can mold it. Well, I've got my casting boxes made, and as you probably know if you've seen some of my other videos, I make casting boxes out of cardboard. All I do is coat it with some clear tape and then sellotape them together. I find them much easier and I can reuse them. So that one's the one for the bear. He's lovely and shiny now, look, and he's all dry. And that one's for the foam. Now, I'm hoping the foam doesn't, because it's so light, I'm hoping it doesn't raise too high in the actual box. So the stuff that I'm going to be using is called Remeltable Silicone Mould. And it's ideal for using, and you can remelt it and reuse it over 35 times. I tested this for the company when they were developing it, and I haven't reused that one yet, but I'm going to reuse this one. All you need to do is get your chunks like this, and it comes in chunks, and you need to melt it. Now, it's been designed to be melted in the microwave or on a double boiler, you know, so you've got it in a bowl, then you have it over hot water. I found that method worked, but it was quite slow. You've got full instructions on the back. It tells you how to use it in the microwave. It tells you how to use it in a water bath. Also tells you how to pour, and it also tells you the hardness of the mold and how to reuse it. Now, one of the things I will say is, if you are heating this in the microwave, then it is likely to get warm, so make sure that you don't spill it on your skin. Wear some gloves or something to protect your skin. I have a microwave in my craft room that I use especially for crafting. I use it for my microwave kiln, I use it for my microwave drying of flowers and all sorts of things. But if not, this is safe to use in your own home microwave according to the instructions. So I'm going to get a microwave proof bowl and I'm going to start doing it, and I'll zap that for 1 to 2 minutes at a time and then stir it using a wooden stick until it's at the consistency that I need. Before I pour this, what I am going to do is a quick spray of mold release over these and in the box. Well, this took 3 minutes and it's now at the right consistency to pour. Make sure my bear is set in there nicely so it'll go around everywhere. And then what I'm going to do is pour it over the top of the bear and pour it in quite close and quite slowly till it fills up. This bear is heavy enough so it definitely won't float in the resin. Move that out of the way. All the bubbles should just come to the top. Now this bit I've got here, I'm going to pour over this and then I'm going to heat up some more because I've got not enough. You can put this in a pressure pot if you want to. Keep these bags because you can seal it in these bags afterwards as well once you've used it and you want to reuse it again and cut it up. The other great thing about this is if you do too much, it doesn't matter. Just let it cure and then cut it up and you'll be fine. And you can reuse it again so you're not wasting it. I often make moulds where I only need to use the mould once or twice. So this way it saves me wasting it. So I'm just going to go and give that another I'm going to give that another minute, then another minute, and then another minute. Now, I have no idea if this foam is going to work as a mould, and all I think it's going to do is float up to the top. Yeah, it is. It's literally floating up to the top. Let's push it down quite hard, see if that'll stop it. But I wanted to give it a test to see if it would work. I mean, the bear will definitely be okay. The other thing is this spray foam has probably got an awful lot of air in it as well, which is going to encourage it to lift up. I'm going to push it, hold it down until this cools down a little bit, and hopefully that'll hold it into place, and then I'll be able to remove my stick, and then it hopefully will work. But I'm not 100% sure. Unfortunately, the air in this just keeps pushing it back up. So this is not going to be successful. What I'm going to do is take this out completely, let that cure up, and then when it's cured up, I can just cut it up and reuse it another time, which is a bit of a shame. What I need to do is cover this in resin-crete first to give it a bit more weight, and then cure it up. If you get any of this stuff on your silicone mat, if you just let it cure, it'll just come off. Okay, this is not the type of silicone that will stick to another silicone mat. It's a different type of silicone. Here we go. So this is what I mean here. It'll just come off that silicone mat as soon as it's dry, or as soon as it's set. There we go. All lovely and clean. Just cleaned that little silicone mat up lovely, to be honest. The same applies to your bowl as well. Once that is set, you'll just be able to pull it off. I'll show you that in a minute. So because this is quite a thin layer on here, this is actually set really well. And as you can see, if I could work out a way of keeping this down, actually, I think this would mould exceptionally well. Yeah, it just peels off there lovely. Look at that. That's come off there lovely and clean. And then to get it off my bowl, all I need to do is pull it off. These bits I'll put back in the bag, and then I can remelt it anytime. So once you get a bit going, you can pull it around. Put it back in my bag, so I've got it to use again. So I'll leave these now for about 3 to 4 hours. Then once I'm confident it's set, I will demold it all, and then we can cast them. Then I'll show you how you easily use it again and recast with it. So I've had an idea. What I've done is I've hollowed that out, and now I'm going to fill it with some resin-crete, because I think that should give it the weight that it needs to be able to stay down in the pot. And all I've got to do is wait for this to cure up a little bit. Or actually, I could take it out now like this. It is still a little bit soft, but I can take that out now, pop it in the bowl, and then reheat it up and pour it virtually straight away once this resin-crete is set. I'm going to wait for this to thicken up a little bit before I pour it in here, because I don't want it, if there is any gaps or anything in here, I don't want it leaking out. That's thickened up nicely. I'm going to pour that in there, let that cure up, and then I should be able to seal the bottom of that and then stick it down as well. Well, that's curing now, and I've popped it in my curing box, and all I'm going to do now is cut this up using some scissors into manageable chunks again. Then once that's cured, this is ready to be able to be reheated. Thank goodness, because that'd have been quite an expensive mistake if I couldn't reuse this. And it cuts quite easily. If I wasn't going to reuse this again straight away, I would cut this up like this and put it back in the bag so it's ready for next time. It's quite satisfying cutting this up. I'm so easily pleased. This had a couple of hours in my curing box. What I'm going to do is seal the bottom of this using the J-Diction sealer. Oh, it's so much heavier now as well. It's much better. And the reason I'm sealing the bottom is to allow me to put some double-sided sticky tape on it. It won't stick to the resin-crete unless you seal it. So that's nice and dry now. What I'm going to do is pop a bit of that double-sided sticky tape on there. The weight of this now should be enough, but I want to give it a double check. There we go. So that's on there. Pop that back in the mould like that. So that's weighted down. It's also stuck down. And now I can go ahead and melt my silicone again and pour it on there. So that's remelted that. Now all I've got to do is pour that over there. Hopefully that is now going to stop it from floating up to the top. There's still going to be quite a lot of air in there, so there is still a chance it might. And then what we'll do is we'll leave that to cure for the next 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so now that's all poured. It doesn't seem to be floating up, but even if it does, it's not ruined again, because I can just take it out and reuse this on a different project and know that spray foam isn't going to work in there. These are all nice and cured now, and all I need to do is cut down there, and then this should pop out really easily. I can keep that and use that again next time. And as you can see, that bear has sat really well on the bottom of here. Now, I know that this bear, if I can find the original bear's in there, isn't it? So I know this bear here has got a really big head, but a thin neck. So that's going to be quite hard to pop out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this mould like this in zigzags to allow me to get it out much easier. Sometimes you have to do this with moulds. That saves them splitting and all sorts of things. And the great thing is, if we do mess this up, it doesn't matter, because we just melt it and redo it again. We haven't wasted any silicone. So when we then mould this again, what we'll do is we line those zigzags up. I'll show you that in a second. We line those zigzags up, we can tape it up, and then you'll get a great mould, but you'll be able to release it easily. And there's the bear come out all unscathed. And hopefully we're not going to have to do this. And the second time I did this, it doesn't appear to have lifted up, which is really important. We will see once we take it out. And again, we didn't waste anything yet. There we go. Now, I think it's probably going to leave some of this foam behind in this mould, because the foam is quite fragile. We don't need to split this mould. Yeah, so there's a couple of bits in there that have just broken off, and all we need to do is remove those like that. But you can see that's given a really good moulded impression. Excellent moulded impression, actually. Now, there are some really important warnings about this type of silicone that you must follow when you're casting in it. So I'll tell you those in a second. Now, where are my zigzags? There. So what I'm going to do now is just put some tape on this, and tape will stick to it, not a problem. And that just seals that shut like that. That will stop that leaking, and it will give you a much cleaner mould when you've finished with it. Don't forget to also do both bits, because I've done that before. Done the top bit and then not done the bottom bit, and then it's gone everywhere. So I'm going to mix up some resin now, and what the resin I'm going to be using for this is the 4-hour demold resin. It's nice thick resin. So what's really, really important with this type of silicone, as you can imagine, is you can't put it in a curing box to speed up the curing, because what will happen is the heat from the curing box will cause the resin to heat up, and it'll also soften off the silicone and cause it to melt and distort. So firstly, you don't want to be doing that. Secondly, you don't want to be using the wrong type of resin in this. You don't want to be pouring a really large mold with a resin like a 1-to-1, because that will have an exothermic reaction, heat up, and it will warp the mold. As long as you use the correct resin for the size of the mold and you don't put it in a curing box, then you're going to be fine. I've got my resin mixed up now, and I'm ready to pour it in. I'm going to pour it in slowly. Now, remember, when you're using 4-hour demold resin, it doesn't like being cold. So make sure that you've got it warmed up to room temperature before you start to mix it, because if not, it won't be demoldable within 4 hours. Other than that, then you're going to be pretty good to go. Mix it as normal, and you'll be fine. I'll leave that now for 5 minutes, as I always do, to be able to then burst any bubbles that have come up to the top using a long neck lighter. And the same for this one. Well, these have all cured now. These are the originals, and these are the ones that I mixed. So let's take that out. And that has come out really well. It's quite shiny in places as well. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. That's cast exceptionally well. And like I said, I don't want to use that again. I just wanted a one-off cast. All I've got to do now is cut that up in smaller chunks, put it back in my bag, and the next time I want to make a one-off mould, all I've got to do is warm this up and mould with it. I did have a little bit of leakage there on this one, but that's not too much of a problem. Let's pull that apart. See, now we can get that out really easily, because that had a big head and a small neck. Because we made those splits in it, we can take that out. And that bear, there's a couple of bits on it where I had the seam, but they're not too bad. That would be the same for any silicone I use to mould this with. Other than that, he's really good. He's lovely and shiny. All his little ridges on his jumper have come out well. He's moulded exceptionally well, and I'm not going to actually remelt that one, because I may make a couple more of these So I can either keep that now or I can cut that up and reuse it. It's going to save you a fortune in silicone. So an excellent new product, remeltable silicone mold making. My advice is, as I said earlier, don't use it in a curing box because it will soften and distort. Don't use a 1-to-1 in too deep a pour because if you get an exothermic reaction, then that could cause it to melt a little bit. You can still cut it up and reuse it afterwards. It's not a problem. The pours this depth are absolutely fine. Keep it nicely sealed in here so it doesn't dry out at all. And you're going to be good to go. If you want to learn more about making molds using a brush on silicone, which I absolutely love as well, then check out the video that's coming up now. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.